Aloha and welcome to the Saturday afternoon speaker meeting of WCNA 31. My name is Catherine and I am an addict. It says here that I can read any announcements, and there are no announcements, so So if we can please open this meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And Brian from Scotland has been asked to read Who is an Addict?
I'm an addict. My name is Brian, and I'm from Scotland. Who is an addict? Most of us do not have to think twice about this question. We know. Our whole life and thinking it was centred in drugs in one form or another. The getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. We live to use and use to live. Very simply, an addict is a man or woman whose life is controlled by drugs. We are people in the grip of a continuing and progressive illness whose ends are always the same: jails, institutions and death.
Thanks, Brian. And Jim from California has been asked to read What is the Narcotics Anonymous program?
I'm an addict. My name's Jim. My home group is the Serenity at 7 at Anderson, California on Monday nights. What is the Narcotics Anonymous program? NA is a non-profit fellowship or society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. We are recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. This is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs. There is only one requirement for membership: the desire to stop using. We suggest that you keep an open mind and give yourself a break. Our program is a set of principles written so simply that we can follow them in our daily lives. The most important thing about them is that they work. There are no strings attached to NA. We are not affiliated with any other organizations. We have no initiation fees or dues, no pledges to sign, no promises to make to anyone. We are not connected with any political, religious, or law enforcement groups and are under no surveillance at any time. Anyone may join us, regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, religion, or lack of religion. We are not interested in what or how much you used or who your connections were, what you have done in the past, how much or how little you have, but only in what you want to do about your problem and how we can help. The newcomer is the most important person at any meeting because we can only keep what we have by giving it away. We have learned from our group experience that those who keep coming to our meetings regularly stay clean. Mahalo.
Thanks, Jim. And Isis from Florida has been asked to read Why Are We Here?
Hey, my name is Isis. I'm an addict. Why are we here? Before coming to the fellowship of NA, we cannot manage our own lives. We cannot live and enjoy life as other people do. We have to have something different, and we thought we had found it in drugs. We place the use ahead of our full welfare, of our families, our wives, husbands, and our children. We had to have drugs at all costs. We did many people great harm, but most of all, we harm ourselves. Through our inability to accept personal responsibilities, we are actually creating our own problems. We seem to be incapable of facing life on its own terms. Most of us realized that in our addiction we were slowly committing suicide. But addiction is such a cunning enemy of life that we had lost the power to do anything about it. Many of us ended up in jail or so held through medicine, religion, and psychiatry. None of these methods was sufficient for us. Our disease always resurfaced or continued to progress until in desperation we sought help from each other in Narcotics Anonymous. After coming to NA, we realized we were sick people. We suffer from a disease from which there is no known cure. It can, however, be arrested at some point and recovery is then possible.
Thanks, Isis. And Bob from Hawaii has been asked to read How It Works.
My name's Bob. I am an addict. And my home group is NA 101, Sunday night, right here in Honolulu. You're all invited. This is how it works. If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. This sounds like a big order, and we can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember, easy does it. There is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. With these, we are well on our way. We feel that our approach to the disease of addiction is completely realistic, for the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We feel that our way is practical, for one addict can best understand and help another addict. We believe that the sooner we face our problems within our society, in everyday living, just that much faster do we become acceptable, responsible, and productive members of that society. The only way to keep from returning to active addiction is not to take that first drug. If you are like us, you know that 1 is too many and 1,000 never enough. We put great emphasis on this, for we know that when we use drugs in any form, or substitute one for another, we release our addiction all over again. Thinking of alcohol as different from other drugs has caused a great many addicts to relapse. Before we came to NA, many of us viewed alcohol separately, but we cannot afford to be confused about this. Alcohol is a drug. We are people with the disease of addiction who must abstain from all drugs in order to recover.
At this time, I would like to introduce our speaker, Stephen Kay from Ireland.
Stephen, I'm an addict. I just kind of loosen up and let all the... So just give me a few minutes, and I just want to throw some mud in the eye first to this disease, and just tell you a little story, a true story, about a gang of the Irish boys were in Italy at the European Convention in 1990, the ECCNA. And after the meeting, they went to a local meeting, and they had a guy translate while the speaker was sharing the chair. So that was fine. And then after the speaker finished, the translator sat back and somebody else started sharing. The translator didn't say a word, he was just sitting there. And all the guys are kind of looking at each other wondering, what's going on? So somebody plucked up the courage and nodded the translator and said, what's going on? And the translator said, it's the same as shit. I have nothing new to bring. Nothing. It's all been done. I'm not telling you, I'm just telling this guy up here in my head. Those hecklers, remember they used to sit on the balcony in the Muppet Show, the two old guys. You don't impress me, you don't impress me. Anyway, before I begin, I'm going to read something. It's an Irish poem. This morning I got a call from home. A friend of ours at home, Albert B., took a massive heart attack not 12 hours ago. And everybody in the fellowship knows Albert at home. And I just really hope Albert lives to hear this prayer. It's called Enoch. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the grey window and the ghost of lost gets into you, may a flock of colours, indigo, red, green and azure blue, come to awaken you in a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the curr of thought and the stain of ocean blackened beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of your ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind walk these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. Keep fighting, Albert. Also, before I begin, it's not all about me, and I just can't get to that, recent events, the hurricane and stuff, and so I like to take a minute's silence for the people who are suffering and displaced, for the families of the people who have been lost, to take some time from this wonderful place that we're in, and maybe close our eyes for a minute and just, not just send the love from here, but to bring the love back and do what we can. So I'd like to take a minute's silence for that. Thank you. Okay, I better begin. So I start at the beginning. I think when it comes to qualifying being Irish, I really don't, have too much to say, But obviously, it gets to be the same. That it's the same. And but my story is I come from a family of 7. I'm the middle child of 7. My father was an alcoholic. My mother was dependent upon prescription drugs. And growing up I come from a high-rise project, and Ballymun, just get them mentioned in there. So I got so many texts from the guys that they make sure that I mention the neighbourhood and so my father just wasn't there, like, he just really wasn't there. And there was a lot of love there in the beginning, in the early years with my mother, until she became, dependent upon the prescription drugs, the Valium and stuff. And I know that something was placed in my heart at that time, something that made me recognise that, when I got to be older and I realised some of the things that I was doing, that it just wasn't right, that it just wasn't right. And I rang my mother on the beach this morning, and I thanked her for my life. And my father, he was over 20 years clean in the OFF, as we call it back home, the other fucking fellowship. And I thanked him for my life. I thanked him for my life. It's easy to get into I wouldn't have been an addict if it wasn't for him and it wasn't for that, The other side of that is that I wouldn't be sitting here, or standing here as it is, in Hawaii at a war convention. And he told me he was really proud of me. And I just need to share that, I know we come in here, men, we come in and we're thinking we're all of that, hard and jail and come over here and hug me and none of that stuff. When I got here into NA, I was afraid of being hugged, but I was more afraid of not being hugged. And so the freedom that I have in my life today comes as a result of me being vulnerable. And me being vulnerable is probably one of the hardest things I've had to do throughout my life, never mind my recovery. But anyway, so I went to school. I didn't do well in school. None of that. I was a clown. I used to torment everybody, particularly the teachers. I just torment them. I just had this overwhelming ability to torment people, and particularly people in authority, And I just think, like at 7 or 8, I said, "No, I've had enough of that shit." It's like, wherever, and so I just started to do things my own way. Like I never took discipline. I never took any of that sort of stuff. And as a result, I didn't end up like with much going on upstairs, like in relation to books and education, And so I took my lessons on the street, and I learned my lessons on the street. And they served me well on the street. They really did. But when I got clean, obviously that was one of the things as well, was to let go of all the behaviour and all the thinking around stuff, and trying to push through all that sort of stuff. And I'm aware that the theme of the World Convention is one fellowship and many friends, and I know I kind of get into that maybe a bit later on and talk about the whole friendship thing. And I got to NA when I was 18, and I was on a Phyceptone course at the time in the treatment centre in Dublin, and not a treatment centre, a detox centre. And I went along, and they said, go to NA, and I went along to NA. A priest brought me to my first NA meeting, me and another two guys. And one of them guys dead clean, and he's still clean today. Thanks, Shani, staying clean, giving me your hope. And so I wasn't ready though. At that stage, I wasn't ready. Like, I sat around the room, I saw a lot of kind of old bearded guys talk about stuff, the houses and work, and it was like, I was looking for the guys that, had half arms and half legs and scars down here, and I was thinking as well in my head, one of the guys in my head was thinking, you don't qualify to be up there. In order to qualify to be up there, like, you have to kind of almost crawl up to the stage, or a hump on me back, one leg on, and and maybe die in the middle of the chair, like,
hardcore addict. But, so as you can imagine, I still struggle with the voices in my head, like, you know, I still got a lot of dialogue going on in the background there. And it's always that dialogue that comes to me first, like, you know. It's never the words of compassion and love and, you know, the stuff I've learned around here about how to support each other. That's not really the stuff that comes to my head first. I'm kind of like, yeah, look a fuck girl. You know, it's like, yeah, you know. But through kind of all the adversity, you know, and I know I'm probably jumping all over the place here, and you just stick with me until I warm up and maybe get into a groove. But, you know, there's so much. I mean, believe it or not, I mean, I'll probably seem that I might get a little bit tired when I'm speaking. Because in my head, I've already done about 1,000 chairs. Because, you know, all the guys in my head, they've all done about 1,000 chairs, like. And I kind of pray before I come in here. It's that funny thing again, isn't it? You know, I find myself on my knees in the toilet again, you know. Maybe for different reasons, though, this time. But some things don't change, you know. And I asked my higher power, like, I asked them to just, you know, to help me be calm and serene and to maybe, you know, to give a message of my experience, you know, and that maybe I can, you know, further my recovery and hopefully, you know, shine a bit of light maybe for somebody else. And as what happens to me when I listen in Narcotics Anonymous, and from day one until this day. And so I got here, I was 18 and I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready, and I went back out and you know, one of the things that I was thinking of was that, you know, sure, I'm nervous about coming up here, you know, sure I am, like, you know, and you think that, you know, with all the preparation, you know, all the meetings that I've gone to and all the time that I've shared, you know, that there should be a piece of piss basically, but it's not. There was something else though that kind of superseded the sort of nervousness I had about sharing in front of you people today. And coming up here and bearing my soul, you know, because it is a sort of, you know, that I feel naked up here, you know. And but the thing that superseded that was there's someone in the room today who's never heard me share. Has never been in a room with me and heard me speak. And we celebrated 19 years of marriage last Tuesday, and she's here today. And I know I don't have enough time to go into that one. You know, and John said to me earlier, John McMahon said to me, John Mac, and he said, I see you get out of the car last night. You were a black suit, you were in a Hummer. What the fuck are you doing? And I'm a chef, you know, and I love food, and I don't have any problem spending big money on food. And myself, my wife, and my friend Derek, we went to the Lamar restaurant, the Halakalani, Derek, the Halakalani, and you know, and there's a suit and tie affair and stuff, and you know, I just feel so privileged about stuff like that, you know, that I can do stuff like that, that this bone-ass addict, you know, can walk into places like that and hold my head up high and be quite assertive, in fact, you know. And I'm one of the many gifts that I've been given in my recovery, you know. And so again, I keep going, I keep moving along, and you know, I thank a higher power, and I thank Narcotics Anonymous, you know, for getting me clean and helping me to stay clean on a daily basis. But I would not have got clean unless my wife stayed with me. My story would have been that my wife left me, I kept using, and I died. And that would be the story that's not told here. It's the story of the addict that didn't make it. Because when those turning points in them situations in our lives, you know, when something called us and something's pulled us in the direction, you know, of the light, you know, and amidst all of that, even last night, like, and the sort of, you know, the niceties of all the rest of it,
Sandra did start doing me head in at the meal, and I'm like, leave it out. So what I'm trying to say is, it's like, sure, the dream is real, but the reality kicks in, And my wife was doing the 10 steps for me before I knew what the 12 steps were. And she continues to do so. And I need that. And I love you, Sandra. So I went out for 4 more years. I met Sandra in the meantime, and my using kind of went undercover a bit, and I was kind of shown little bits of what I was doing, but not at all. And that went on for another 4 years. In the meantime, we got married. I just about was holding down a job. I got out of jail in 1985. I was given a start in a catering training centre, and I'm still in catering, and I'm still working restaurants and stuff. But in 1987, October 1987, the guy that I used to leave my syringe with, my works with, he wasn't going to be there, so I had to take it home. I took the syringe home and hid it in the best hiding place in the flat. And women, being what they are, found it within 2 minutes. And but the important thing is that, I was on my way back from one of those situations where it's like, I'm just going down to the shops to get a pint of milk, and I was gone like 7 hours. And I was on the way back, and Sandra was on the way down, and she had this piece of tissue, blood-stained tissue, with this syringe in it, and the pain in her eyes. And I knew at that moment that I'd broken this woman's heart. But I also knew at that moment that was it. And I didn't stop using, from that very time. There was also something else that happened that was quite profound at that time. And that there was a security guard who used to work in the Ballymun shopping centre, the Beard we used to call him, and we fucking hated him. And but just as that was happening, and I was pleading with Sandra, giving it the blues. Don't leave me, baby! Don't leave me, baby! I will go out in this very moment. This guy appears out of nowhere, like this. And my humiliation was bad enough, and it just drove me deeper and deeper into the ground. But the upshot of that is that I needed to feel the humiliation at that level in order to become willing to make a change, and so Sandra booked off anyway, left me on my knees. She wasn't having the bar of it, and I went back up to the flat, and I was like feeling sorry, and I had my cans, and I had my hash, and I was thinking, that's it, I don't know what I'm going to do, but the knock came back on the door, and that was it. And that's when things turned around for me, and within 2 weeks I was clean. 17th of October 1987. And I'm kind of feeling like I needed to get going now on this thing, and I got loads of texts from people, like, oh jeez, my battery ran out and I can't charge it back up, like, since about midday yesterday. They've just been coming thick and fast, and the amount of love that I'm being sent, like, from thousands of miles away, is just incredible. Like, go through it, like, with all the people. Like, one of the text messages that was sent from me, from my friend Mick, was that the reason that I have so many friends is because I'm a friend to so many. And there's so many people that I want to mention. Really, so many people that I know that are standing here. Those, I don't know what that guy Charles called them, you know, those schizo hallucinogenic people, you know, and they're all standing here on the stage with me, you know, and okay. But special mention to Paul G, Mount Joy Prison. You know, Paul is carrying the message at home. You know, we've tried for years and years and struggled for years at HNI. Get an atmosphere of recovery going in the prison services back at home. And, you know, I just want to kind of tap my cap to Paul, because I know since he got clean in prison that he's become a beacon to other people. And, you know, another guy, Danny, who's out of jail at the moment as well, and he's going to meetings and, you know, a couple of false starts and a bit of that, got out of jail, thought maybe he'd do it a different way and stuff, but he's back with us. And, you know, and to those guys, you know, because they're the ones that crush me, who crush me the most. And long may it continue in my life, like that I don't lose focus on what the real important thing is in recovery in our lives. And, you know, the trappings and the bonuses and the holidays and the cars and all that wonderful, beautiful stuff that we're able to accumulate when we get clean, when we apply ourselves, and when we walk the program and we walk the steps, and, you know, we just try and get with it, like, you know. But most of all, service. Most of all, service. And because really, you know, I don't think I'd be standing here today if it wasn't because of service. You know, I know maybe I've become visible to the fellowship because of service. And not just group service, and I'm not taking away or disrespecting group service or area service or regional service or European service or zone service, but service all the way, follow it through all the way, gain the experience, you know, open up to how big this NA thing is. It's like we're completely universal. And I went to a European convention in 1994. I wasn't doing service. I was carrying a report from a region who couldn't make it. And I was completely overwhelmed by what went on in that room. There was a conference at the back of the convention, you know. That's the way they do it there. And they were kind of run simultaneously. And the thing that got me was that World Services, I think, had funded the Russian delegate to come. And this woman was sitting there and she was terrified by this whole thing. And she made a donation of $1, and it was probably like a week's amount of money for her. But she made a donation of $1, and I nearly fell off my chair. I was so humbled by this woman's humility. And because I know we can get busy and get really agitated around here and start slinging muck at each other and all the rest of it in service. I don't give thanks for the people in service who are stone mad. I really don't. I don't give thanks for that shit at all. But what I do need to remember is that sometimes that mad bastard is me, you know. And I think that when we go and we do service, that we should all bring diapers with us and put them in front of us. And when the collective thinks that maybe there's a person over here doing too much shit and that we could all just throw our diapers at them. But ain't it hard enough? Ain't it hard enough to do that shit? Anyway, I got to make light of it because it's the only thing that works for me. I would not go near service for 7 years. I mean, service beyond the group. I would not go in there. I'd go in there and these guys that see a meeting who are caring and compassionate and loving and carrying a message and picking up newcomers and sitting with them for hours. You go to the service meeting and they're like this and they're like, you know, you're thinking it's going to go off and it's like, you know, they're going to start pulling sticks out and start slapping each other around and I'm like, how did that happen? We had a fellowship conscience at home in the first few months that I was clean. A fellowship conscience. The whole fellowship showed up for it. And I know it wasn't quite big then, but I mean, I couldn't get over the stuff that was people were slinging at each other, you know. And but that's the miracle, isn't it? I mean, I wonder how. Not so much that we get clean and we're able to stay clean, I can understand that. But the other miracle is the miracle that somehow or another, that we're able to do service, we're able to agree, and we're able to keep growing, And that always for me has to be the focus. That we continue to grow, and not to get bogged down. But, so I got clean anyway. I got clean, and I really wanted what was on offer. I really did, And, I had that same, Charles spoke the other day about, commitment and being involved. He spoke about that. He talked about being a pig as an addict. He was totally committed. And I'm a bit like that about my recovery. I know. I'm committed because I need to be. It's for me. I mean, I know there's people out there thinking, oh, God, that guy's so committed. He's such a great guy. And it's like, I do this, that. I'm like, I do it for me. Because I don't want to use. I don't want to lose what I have. I look around, and when I was clean, the room had 50 people in it. And I was the baby. And everybody cared for me. And I look around our room now, and I don't see them people anymore. I don't know where half of them are. And I looked at the stats out in the NA thing, the room out there, the NOS room. And I seen that like above 25 years it's like 3%, and the one after that is 4%. And then it starts getting fat, and jumping out like, 10 years and below, and 1 to 5 is the biggest, My hope, my message is for the people 1 to 5 years, the people 11 to 20 years, whatever it is. They keep coming back. I have another question. It's like, where are you going to them other guys? It's like, where are you going? I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking like, because I say at the end of when we wrap up at home, I say keep coming back. We've nowhere else to go. That's what I say. And because I know I have nowhere else to go with this shit that goes on inside of me, And I don't proclaim to be a spiritual giant. No, nothing like it. I get uncomfortable, in fact, when newcomers are like, oh, you're 18 years old. Oh. And I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute. Don't start laying that shit on me. Whoa. I'm just a guy over here staying clean. That's it. That's what I'm doing. It's like, come on. It's that thing about, the story about the two guys, like, and I'm in there in the jungle with this other guy, like this other newcomer guy, and I say, come on, quick. And you hear the lion and it's roaring, and it's like, and then I take my pack and I put my runners on, and the guy is saying, what are you doing? You're not going to outrun the lion. And I'm like, I'm not trying to outrun the lion. I just have to outrun you. So I'm not saying to this guy, listen, I want you to be eaten by the disease, but I'm saying I'm only going to stay with you for a certain amount of time, and then like I have to get out of here, And so I get a sponsor, and I get Shawnee to be my sponsor. So we sit around and we talk about the old times. Yeah, remember we done that, and remember we done that, and you remember we done that. What about the steps? Yeah, do you remember we done that? Do you remember you done that, and I done that, and that was my introduction to sponsorship. So I had to get a new sponsor. Sorry, Shane. But and I did. I got another sponsor then, and he was Dean, a Canadian guy. Dean was a great guy. He sat with me at meetings and took me home from meetings, and he really did. He sat me. The only problem was he was so crazy. I couldn't understand him. So I'd say to him, I find it really hard because this shit and this is going on home and kicking my head. And his response would be, and I could not understand a fucking word the guy was saying. No matter how hard I listened, I tried so hard to listen to what the guy had to say, and it all sounded like... Sorry, Dean. And then I got the sponsor that I have still to this day, James C. And Thanks, James. I love you. And then I started to do some work around here. And and there's other things as well. If I kind of skip on to the friendship, in my head I'm thinking, I just that kind of framework going on here. And it's like, shut up, just keep talking. And the thing, and there's Austin is in the room down there. I see him there. Where is he? There he is. And Austin is from the other side of town, and uptown, you want to call it that. And when I got clean, Austin used to take a meeting in my area, downtown. And I'd wonder, I was like, what's this guy doing bringing that nice car out here? And taking this meeting out here to us and sitting with me for hours on end in this car, telling me that it's possible for me to live a different way. I couldn't get my head around that sort of stuff. I didn't understand how this whole NA thing was going to gel together. When all people from all different places and all different, experiences and stuff, I couldn't understand how that worked. I couldn't understand how people talking, that somehow or another was going to, stop me sticking needles in my arms, and robbing people and doing, do that sort of stuff. And but these guys, they sat with me. Austin, Lemo as well, the first few months. These guys, they sat with me and they talked to me until they were sure that I was okay and I was leaving the car and I had the next piece of the puzzle, And I keep coming back, and I'm grateful for that, Austin. And Tommy is there as well. I look across the room. Tommy. And Tommy's a chef as well, And I kind of knew Tommy before I actually got clean. I'd obviously heard the story. I thought, he's a chef as well. And I thought I had something maybe in common. And we ended up walking together and stuff. And to be honest with you, I done a lot of recovery talk in that environment when we walked together. And I was able to kind of get through a lot of stuff as a result of that relationship, And again, Tommy, I want to thank you for the time that you spent with me, the patience. I know I must have frustrated you because, I obviously thought of you as someone in authority, when I was going back to that schoolhood thing and saying, I'm going to torment this bastard. But it's taken a long time for me to become the person that I am today, and I know it's only a result of people like yourself and Austin and James and these people who are still in my life, these people who still show up, these people who are still committed, to themselves and Narcotics Anonymous, because they still want what's on offer. They still want the miracle that's on offer, And I have many friends also at home, and there's this thing about, friendship. I have to be honest with you, I found it really hard to kind of get buddies. I have not many friends, many friends, but buddies. And I was around quite a few years actually before I really gelled with somebody, and I got two really good buddies in my life that couldn't be here today, Mick and Ronnie, and I just want a big shout out to them. And we've travelled and journeyed through our recovery together, and we used to take a lot of stick at home for that. You know what I mean? That we were like a clique or just sort of, the way you do that. You're like, oh yeah, that's them guys, Mr. NAs, You think they own the bleeding fellowship, that sort of thing. And we'd be there, we'd be doing service, we do service together, Not only we recover through the steps, through with our sponsors, we walk the steps and keep moving on with the progression, but do all these wonderful things like that you get an opportunity to do while you're clean, go and experience other places, make new friends all over the world. I was getting text messages from all over the bleeding place, the people sending the love to me, to hope that I would share my message, to share the hope, I got guys laying around the line, you're the reason I got clean. And I'm like, ooh. And because I cannot, and I will not take that on. I'm just carrying the message, not my message. It's not my message. It's the Narcotics Anonymous message. And and the thing about it is I kind of maybe get confused is because there's so many things that went around in my head, obviously by saying that I was going to come here. Myself and my wife had already decided that we weren't going to come because we spent the summer in Europe and with our children, our family, and NA had a different plan, and it was like whoa, and I find it hard to refuse Narcotics Anonymous. I just don't have it in me, and I know I can't have it all, although there's plenty of people in my head thinking they can still have it all, so I still got all that shit going on, but you see, for me it's difficult in this setting because I'm a kind of touchy-feely kind of guy. It's like I need to look in your eyes and listen to you, and that's the type of person I am. And Luigi from Italy came over and he said to me the other day, we had one of the delegates, Walter, and oh God, you got to see Walter. He's like this big Italian guy. He's like D.A. Barabbas, like got the gold and all the rest of it. And we'd be at the delegates meeting in Europe, and all the other guys would be like, but I spoke to Walter. I spoke to him. I didn't talk at him and spoke to him. Like we speak to each other around here. Not with our heads, but with our hearts. And we put our hands on somebody, when they're trembling and when they're afraid, that's what we get to do around here. We get to love each other, to show each other that things will be all right, and that's the type of person that I am. I can't go in for all that sort of, ideology stuff and I just cannot think at that level, and thank God, and so too, I'm aware that it's being recorded, and that thing as well. I was really in my head. I was thinking, you only listen to those speaker tapes from America. They all sound like the guy in the cinema. The guy that does the presentations. Hi. My name is Virgin Cinema. Welcome to the world of fantasy and adventure. And I'm like, how am I going to do that? With my accent, because my accent is dog shit at home in Dublin. It's dog shit. It's like, but you think of those guys go home to the West at the meetings and hi, I'm here. Welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. Well, anyway, I don't mean no disrespect to those guys with those boots, but you know what I'm talking about. But it's also, I kind of don't really want to talk about myself. I want to talk about other people, and I'm sure people in the room know they say that you're sick to fucking death of talking about yourself. It's almost like a relief now to be able to talk about other people, and and to the guys that are listening, it's that sort of thing. It's like what, Jimmy Kinnon and Bob had that conversation. I listened to the CD a couple of years ago. I nearly cracked into a puddle in the car driving down to Kerry. It was like, oh my God. And they were having this discussion, when it was just two of them looking at each other thinking what is this all about? Why are we even doing this? And Jimmy said that, we're doing it for the addicts that ain't even born yet. And I know in this room that all these, most of the people in this room weren't born when he said that. And that's what gives me inspiration. That's what inspires me, is when I hear people say stuff like that, and it's kind of profound, and it's all of that, but I'm just trying to think outside of myself, that there may be somebody somewhere is listening to this speaker tape, and they're thinking, what is the story with that Irish guy? They really need a lot more recovery over there or something. This fucking guy's whacked out. But I assure you, right, because of the pressure that was being put onto me for all the messages that I got, go up there and represent Ireland and we're all counting on you and do us proud, and it's like, get the fuck out of here. You're laying that one down, it's like, okay. Who am I representing, obviously I'm representing something inside of me, Stephen, because I should not be here. Like all of us, we should not be here. If we had not got Narcotics Anonymous, we would not be here. And so it truly is a miracle, And so I'm kind of running into walls here now and thinking, because that's, even at home, it's like, you got a half an hour like you were doing very well. It's like, because it all becomes like the kind of Bart Simpson dialogue. It's like blah, 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 blah. But that's, I suppose, a little bit about who I am. I mean, I could talk about my journey through the steps. I could talk about how Colin Reid taught me to fashion and tailor the 12 steps like a loose-fitting garment that I could wear it in my life. And it would be that force field, and you'd like put my NA jacket on and like, I could deal with anything, And that is the truth of my life. So if there is somebody listening, or people in the room who are maybe not quite sure, all that sort of worry and wonder about, this or that or the other, that sort of, worry that gets in there to your gut and causes all sorts of illnesses and stuff. But, it's known that like in that third step that it says, take my will in my life, We made a decision to turn our will in our lives over, to get in there and truly fully understand the meaning, and that it takes time, and that life will keep knocking you back and kicking you down until you learn, and then you learn until you learn until you learn. And the 10th step doesn't say if we're wrong, it says when we're wrong. So it's like, long may I continue to be wrong. And long may Sandra continue to tell me I'm wrong. But, so yeah, my message is like, they say it's like, the message is hope. The promise is freedom. And, I don't disagree with that. I say, yeah, that's what it is. It's like, is there something you don't understand? Dirty bone, fucking robbing addict, jails, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, clean living, beaches, NA meetings, coffees, holidays, relationships, jobs, friends. That's all. That's all you get around here. That's all you get. But you don't get it for nothing. And there's a price. And every day we have to wake up and pay that price. Every day. Not like, I don't want to do that today. I've done that yesterday. In fact, I've done it for the last 1,000 days. I want a day off today. No days off. No overtime. We just don't get it. We get paid every day when we show up, and I'm okay with that, I really am. I'm okay with that, and I love this fellowship. I really do. I love this fellowship. I don't love everything about the fellowship, or I don't love everybody in the fellowship, but I try. I try, and I keep going back. And if I get into one of those situations where I think, because I kind of get a thing about ownership. That thing. It's like, I think, we should have like NA police, secret police, and it's like, if like someone rings from an area or a region and says, we got this guy, and I swear to God, he's got everybody going fucking go. It's like, okay, we're sending NA SWAT. We'll be there straight away. Hold them there. And you run in there and you get we'd take him out and we'd kick him into AA. No, I'm joking. But it doesn't work like that, you know. It's like that thing where it's like, oh yeah, I know why this guy is here. This guy is to teach me about tolerance. And it's like, no, it's not. This guy is here trying to stay clean and recover just like I am. You know? And I know sometimes that I can't reach these people. I know I don't have the power. But I don't have no authority to turn somebody away. I don't have no authority to shoot my rage and anger at somebody because they're not living and recovering the way I think they should, or the way NA thinks it should, the sort of fundamental Shiite Sheikh NA members. You can't do that! I don't know. I mean, you got to come maybe to some meetings in Dublin and maybe realise that maybe where I get my thinking from, you know. But we kind of think around corners, you know, and or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. You know, but I love to laugh. It's like, you know, and I love to have the crack, and I love to turn things on their head and do all that with it. Like, it's because it's where I find my joy. You know? Clean, joyous and free. You know? We gotta laugh around here. We gotta find our joy, whatever that is. Climbing mountains, jumping a lake, as Christy Moore says. You know? We gotta find it. We gotta find it quick. We don't want to be miserable around here. You didn't get clean to be miserable. If you're miserable, you need to tell somebody you're miserable. What do I need to do? And I'm not saying, this is not like, oh, you're miserable and you're new. Yeah, no. If you're miserable, full stop. It's nothing to do with that being new. Or 1 year, or 10 years, or 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years, or wherever it is. You know, that we get to tell somebody, you know, because that lion, he's always there. Every day I wake up, it's there. He's growling at me. I got me Nikes. How's it going? I see you there shaking your teeth. But, you know, so I know what I was going to say. I asked the guy above and I said, you know, whatever, just, you know, take your 50 minutes or hour, wherever it is, and just, you know, walk through me, like, you know. And not so much that it's none of my business. I thought about that. You know, if I start, you know, tuning into the guy in my head with the Tourette syndrome, you know? And it's like, just went on a babble for like 5 minutes. And it's like, you know, sorry about that, but I did tell you when I signed the disclaimer that, like, you know, it's none of my business what comes out of my mouth. So you got to talk to my higher power about that. But you know what? It's like, I know what it is. You know, it says to be mindful, you know, to be mindful, to be respectful, you know, to be them things, the things that I never knew about growing up, the stuff I never had, the lessons I never learned, all of that sort of stuff, you know. So I truly was reborn in Narcotics Anonymous. Because all the other stuff that I had wasn't any use to me whatsoever, you know, really. And in my life, clean, you know, I've had all the struggles that everybody in the room has had. Different shapes. You know, is it the same shit? You know, that sort of thing. Is it the same shit? But, and I've had illness issues that I had to deal with. I was diagnosed with diabetes in 92. You know, talking about going back into toilets and on your knees and pulling down your trousers and sticking needles in your legs or in your belly, and I'm thinking, you know, I know my higher power is a kind of funny sense of humor, but I'm thinking like what the fuck's that about? Like, you know, okay, right? So I used needles. I nearly died. I got clean, and I used needles again. You know, and but I was grateful. I was grateful that all I had was diabetes, because I went down to 9 stone. I had a friend at home who died around the same time, and he was so concerned that I had the virus. you know, and he helped me with that, you know, Oliver Stanley. You know, I'd see that guy track up the Dublin Central Mission steps. We got a lunchtime meeting, and the steps go up and 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 up. I don't know who designed that building anyway. They put a lift into it, but and this guy was in the latter stages of his illness, and every day, well, not every day, but a couple of days a week, he'd make the trek up them stairs. So committed to the fellowship, and brought the, you know, and loved the fellowship, you know, just as I loved the fellowship, and inspired me, you know, to love the fellowship, you know. You don't have to love everybody in the fellowship, but to love the fellowship, you know, because Tudor, it saved my life, you know, and like it saved his. And he died at 41, you know. I'm almost the same age as Oliver was when he died, you know. And I think that, you know, I have so much more living to do. You know, I'm grateful for the time that I have. And my higher power wants to take me today. I'm okay. I don't worry for me. I worry for my wife. I worry for my kids. You know, I want to be there when the shit hits the fan. I want to be there. And so I ask, you know, give me a little bit more time, you know. Let me grow old around here. Let me be 90. Let me die at 90 at a convention or something, you know. Let me be that thing to be asked to share, like, he got 68 years clean and I make my way up. Oh, that ain't doing it. The blaze of glory. Okay, listen, so that's it. I really don't have any more to say. I had loads to say. I couldn't sleep the other night when I got down to the convention. I started listening to speakers and I started going, oh, Jesus, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And, but you know, I'm okay. I've always been okay around you people. You know, but it doesn't stop me from worrying and taking my will back. We do it all the time. At any given time, you know, and we're allowed that. We're given that freedom, you know. So I hope I've made sense. I hope, you know, that I don't know what I hope. I just hope. Okay, it's like I just hope. So someone said, "Keep it real, keep it Irish, keep it green," and I know this is for the hecklers on the balcony, the Muppet Show guys. You know, those guys that said, you're not saying anything new. And I'm going to end on something that's probably never been shared in this way at a Narcotics Anonymous World Convention. And that is their prayer in Oscailge. A hirne, a quijilum of exhaust on glockalesha made knock off fatal ahu. Turan mishnok dumma ahu yen of narish failure. Or more, Turan agnew dumman da canola hint on a kale. Keep coming back. I love you.
One more time, let's thank Stephen for sharing this afternoon. Dominique from the Philippines has been asked to read We Do Recover. screen, Dominic. There it is.
My name is Dominic. I'm an addict from Cebu, Philippines. We do recover when at the end of the road we find that we can no longer function as a human being, either with or without drugs. We all face the same dilemma. What is there left to do? There seems to be this alternative, either go on as best as we can to the bitter ends, jails, institutions, or death, or find a new way to live. In years gone by, very few addicts ever have this choice. Those who are addicted today are more fortunate. For the first time in man's entire history, a simple way has been proving itself in the lives of many addicts. It is available to us all. This is a spiritual, not religious program known as Narcotics Anonymous.
Aloha and welcome to the Saturday afternoon speaker meeting of WCNA 31. My name is Catherine and I am an addict. It says here that I can read any announcements, and there are no announcements. So if we can please open this meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And Brian from Scotland has been asked to read Who is an Addict?